Yeah. Nah, nope. Profit. Yo, where you at? Where you at? My homie Lou on the mic. The mother hosts need to stop. They ain't doing it right. If you ain't turned in the Lou, what you doing with your life? Conversation so sharp, it ain't your usual night. We got athletes, entrepreneurs, even celebrities. Politicians discuss nationwide discrepancies. Hardcore tackling issues in our community. Spreading our knowledge, creating an opportunity. Tune in live with Liteskin Lou. Tune in live with Liteskin Lou. Tune in live with Liteskin Lou. Tune in live with Liteskin Lou.
Liteskin Lou. Liteskin Lou. Liteskin Lou.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Live with Liteskin Lou. I'm your host, Liteskin Lou, and this young lady right here to my left is the lovely Kiki, my co-host.
Yes, indeed.
Today, y'all, we got very, very special guests in the building. But before we get started, I want to thank last week's guest, Suleiman Sagawa, for stopping by and showing love. And also thanking you guys for your continued support. So hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, y'all. And now let me introduce this guy. This guy's a franchise owner, banking executive, U.S. Army Special Forces, boxing champion, executive producer, and founder of Roll with the Punches. Straight DC, he is none other than Joe Alleycat Diggs.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Liteskin Lou, Key. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Oh, man. Truly excited, man, to finally get you in the building. This thing happened so fast. It was like thunder and lightning, man. Made the call. This guy agreed, and it's all in the books. Joe, let's top right into it, man. Let the people out there know a little bit about yourself.
And yeah, so first and foremost, what I take pride and priority in is I strongly believe in the institution of family and marriage, man. So I am dad, I am hubby right out of the gate. 30 years married with my wife, father of two. I am a granddad, right? So I really take pride and joy in it. But over and beyond, man, on the career side, I've spent over 35 years in banking and federal oversight and commercial real estate lending. I've done mergers and acquisitions of financial institutions. I have a 10-year career as a special operations forces soldier with the United States Army, done some very unique things in that regard. I've always been a real estate investor, owner. I'm a franchise owner and operator, boxing franchise, 9-round. It's about 800 locations nationwide. Most recently, I am the founder and executive director of Roll with the Punches, and we're going to definitely dive into it. Two-time light heavyweight boxing ringside masters champion, so I dabble in that. And every now and then, I take my claim to fame as being known as a musician, man. I'm a percussionist of sort, of course, with that DC go-go flavor in its roots. I can kind of play across all genres, man. So I do a little bit of everything, man, and I'm very prideful and just happy to be a very well-rounded individual, man. That's who Joe Diggs is.
Yeah, very, very talented guy.
Nah, man, very humble and appreciative guy.
I love it.
That's it. I just try to live out loud, Kiki. I just live out loud. That's it.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your foundation, Roll with the Punches?
So we took on a very, very, very large undertaking. Roll with the Punches is a de novo foundation. It is only 8 months old. And it really came out of a dream which says, how can I, as I'm positioned in my life today, right? I'm kind of standing in my overflow. If I never receive another blessing, I've had my fair share. So I really thought, what is my purpose in terms of how do I give back to the community? And where does that community start? Hey, I'm a native Washingtonian. So I figured, let's do it in my own backyard. Today, I reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. I relocated about 16 years ago, but why not have an event? And the place that birthed me, the place that raised me, and what has my background and DNA written all over it. So in order to get our first production done, it's okay not to be okay. You know, I've always wanted to do something upscale. It's a black tie and sneaker event. It's very celebrity centric. It's very high noted. It's very high end. And in order to seek and raise funds and get support from both corporate America and the community and other mental health organizations, a foundation was a way to go. Right. So as an entity formation, we formed a 501c3, a tax exempt organization to carry out the work of mental health awareness. So with that, my personal devotion to mental health and the mental health space says, let's go get something done. So it was a monumental task. I've never done it before, and I'm not in the mental health space. I never planned an event. I've never promoted, produced, right? So it was a passion that was culminated with desire. And I went out and got two respected folks in the industry. A partner of mine is Barry Florence. Another individual is Kenya Zandrowitz. They've been in the entertainment space for over decades. Wow. So just like any other astute individual, when you find yourself not necessarily in your skills, subject matter, and or knowledge, I have the ability and capability, you go out and you find some experts and put them around you. So we had a like passion, a like devotion, like energy, and we've spent every day and every night for 8 months straight to put on our It's a Not to Be Okay production.
Wow.
So that's the formation of Roll with the Punches. It's named, of course, as a boxing metaphor.
Okay.
Because we believe in the mental health space that you have to have the same attributes as the fight, right? The squared circle, the fight of life. Okay. You got to get knocked down. You got to be relentless. You got to be fearless. You got to be committed. You may feel all alone in the ring, but every now and then you can go back to the corner and there's someone there.
Yeah, like
right.
That.
So you may feel all alone. You got to slip. You got to weave. You got to get knocked down. You got to get punched. You got to fight back. You got to have the fighter spirit, the fighter's mentality, and no matter what, you got to roll with the punches, baby.
That's right. It walk right into the saying, man.
I love it. Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's the origin and genesis of the foundation. That's how it started.
Okay.
So on March 12th, I was told I was an executive producer of a show. Monday, I'm sorry, not March 12th, May 12th. And then on Monday the 15th, I'm now what's being told I'm a mental health advocate, right? I'm in the space. We're on the map. We produced a great show. We got great coverage. Folks said it was epic, amazing, Grammy Award level in terms of its production. And I'm not saying that. So says People Magazine, WJLA, the ABC affiliate, Fox 5, Baltimore Sun, Essence Magazine, Level 21 Magazine. So folks are giving really good reviews behind it. Folks felt really moved. Mm-hmm. Folks felt like they got resources. We use the term edutainment because not only can we captivate subject matter, we do it in a form where it keeps you engaged. And ironically, we did some things that's frankly not done in the Black community. So we did some performing arts in terms of some aerialists. Yes. We gave you a little bit of a Grammy Award hip hop winning violinist. Mm-hmm. We featured a harpist. We brought back R&B songbird Tweet. We did a little ballroom boxing. We did a keynote address. We did some awards presentation. And then later on, I want to tell you guys a theme and the motivation behind the Unsung Six, where we honored legendary Hall of Fame DC boxer. So I think in one night, it was impactful. It will go down as one of the best community events of this year. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, we're proud. I mean, that's all I can really say about it. We're proud of it.
Yeah. Wow. And you kind of touched on some of the questions, so that's good that we will talk about those things because those are some of the things I had listed.
Sure. So I didn't mean to steal your thunder, Key. You give me that mic, Joe. You gotta shut me up right now. You gotta pull it back.
I love it, though. I love the info, man. I love it.
Yes, that's good. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay. The event. It's okay not to be okay. I'm just curious, how did this event come about?
Well, event-wise, we knew we wanted to do something. So I kind of touched on what those elements would be. We started out negotiations with the MGM over at the National Harbor because the boxing theme, ballroom theme, all of that seemed well, but we thought just that element, some of the distractions, the casino piece of it is not quite in alignment or in synergy with what we wanted to pull off. Ultimately, the Anthem was a venue that provided it's a $60 million sound stage with all the accoutrements, sound, lighting, etc. Our job was to turn an amphitheater into a ballroom, turn it into a Hollywood set, really focusing on the detail, the lighting, the sound, and more importantly, the content. And that content does three things. And our research, just by experience, it wasn't like we were going on an expedition, but what we found out the most, the three reasons why folks don't seek help is one, the stigma around mental health, the embarrassment, or some may believe that it's a lack of or a barrier to financial resources. Folks think you have to have money to go seek therapy. And we found out all those things were not true. So we had to highlight that. The next piece we discovered was mental health, whether it's an illness or a disorder, right? It is colorblind. It doesn't care about gender. It's not interested in socioeconomic status. It doesn't care about your political affiliation, doesn't care about your career, your ranking. It's everyone from the boardroom to the gutter. It's everyone from minor to adult. And what we figured is we would focus on how to get involved with some subject content that is gritty, grimy, and frankly, you kind of have to go into the cave to go in there and get the gold. So we didn't pull any punches. I'm a firm believer, just based on my background, and we share similar DNA and geography and things of that nature. It is far, far easier to build a strong child than it is to repair a broken man or a broken woman. So we touched on that. So out of it, we rode with the slogan, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay for men to talk to someone. It's okay for men to be vulnerable. It's okay for parents. It's okay for law enforcement. It's okay for our military. It's okay for your coworker, for your neighbor, for your physician. The bottom line is we have to step away from judgment, from criticism, from stigma, from embarrassment, and just realize no matter what you're going through, man, it is okay to say, I am not okay and I need help. So that was the charge and the devotion about putting on that production.
Wow, that's big, man. Those sayings is big.
Yeah, it is. You bring awareness to mental health through edutainment. So
Yes.
for those that don't know what that means, can you elaborate on that, what edutainment is?
Sure. So a piece of it, right? The entire mission of Roll with the Punches, don't get it twisted. We are philanthropically entrepreneurial. Let me break that down.
Okay.
The entire goal is to raise a lot of funds and awareness by putting on our events so that I can then turn around and deploy it to other 501c3s that are programmatic. Okay. So I'm not a licensed physician. I'm not a practitioner. I'm new to the space. But what I do have is a passion to talk about mental health in our community. And what better way to drive resources to the community that I would like to serve, my board would like to serve, than to raise a lot of money and give it away so that folks that are boots on the ground can actually do the work in the communities that I would like them to serve, which is the underserved, the disenfranchised, people of color, men, women, incarcerated folks returning to society, young children, folks that suffer with disorders. And we're going to do it through education. But what better way to do it than entertainment?
I like that.
I love it. Yes,
I ain't gonna lie. When I first seen it, I was like, that's gotta be a misspelling or something. I was like, hold up.
Nah, baby, it's edutainment. I can get your attention by entertaining you.
Yes.
While educating you by tapping into your emotions, right? I want to take you on a roller coaster ride. But more importantly, I want you to feel, I want you to think, and I want you to react.
Yeah, I love it, man. Because Kiki, she's a research specialist. She was like, no, that word means something. Here I am, Joe. I'm like, well, maybe he must have misspelled. I might need to tell him he misspelled. She was like, no, it means something. She researched it, and she was just like, oh, she really liked it. Because
listen, Google might tell you something. I don't want to BS you. That's our purpose. That's our intent. That's what we mean by it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a fact checker among your audience going to say, no, according to Google, it has a specific definition, but it's not our result. It's our intent. And ultimately, we will get to our mission and our objective.
But it was basically what you said because it
Yeah.
said bringing education through entertainment.
There you go.
You
So
can't get no
that
bigger than
was
that.
basically what you said, and that's what you're doing. So yeah, that was good. I like that. I like that word because I had never heard it before. So that's why I said, can you elaborate for others that may not know? Because I had never
Yeah.
heard it.
For the uninitiated, man, you broke that down very well, man. Very well. So, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all just getting in here, man, we in here with Joe Alley-Cat Diggs. He's an advocate for mental health, man. May is the month for mental health awareness. What he's saying is it's okay not to be okay. And that term speaks out. It got my attention because if you think about it, you by yourself, you start thinking like it be times where I might have something on my mind. I might need to lean on somebody's shoulder mentally to talk about it, whether it's a therapist, a cousin, a mother, brother, anybody. So that's a good slogan. I love it, man. So hit that like button, y'all. If y'all don't, I'm gonna send the alley cat right over there to find out where y'all at because y'all sitting in here getting all these Jews and y'all ain't dropping that like button. So hit that like button. Joe, I want to go back to the event, man. It was very unique and an impactful event. You had you were behind the scenes working to 8 months of planning, and you didn't tell the people that you fought in the event 3-round exhibition fight. So man, what was it like working with 2-time WBC champ Keith Holmes?
Hey, first of all, Keith Holmes is a true brother. He has a very, very dynamic background. And early on, when I pitched the concept, I was really inspired by a book that he authored called Dark Path of a Champion. And in it, he described all of the challenges, all of the upbringings, 1 foot in a certain circle, 1 foot in the professional athlete circle. And it described to me the fortitude, the relentless nature, having no excuse and overcoming all obstacles. Now, if you're like me, I'm a product of the 70s, raised in the 80s. The 90s, I blossomed. In the 2000s, Frankie Beverly says, happy feelings. You know what I mean? So Keith was a very, very obvious choice to sort of partner with, particularly putting on a boxing performance to exemplify the toughness and some of the overcoming of the obstacles of mental health, illness, disorder, or challenges. In his book, he described at a very early age the suicide of his mom, what that led to, different neighborhoods, different activity. And he managed to kind of pull himself out of it. At the same token, during one of his championship fights, he was facing a federal indictment.
Yes.
Walked out to the ring, and the first 2 rows around the entire squared circle was the FBI. He had to sneak from Virginia into Maryland just to make the way in, and ultimately he had to overcome all of the obstacles. That's when I decided, and that's when I knew I wanted to participate in the event in the form of a boxing exhibition, because frankly, all the things that it takes, the journey, the training, the dedication, the relentless, the commitment, the no excuse, everything that a fighter does to prepare for a fight, I wanted to experience that going on in that journey. So I decided that was very appropriate, not only to put a form of edutainment in the event, to metaphorically tie it into a roll with the punches. Keith was the perfect selection in terms of his passion and desire to stay in the sport. He's a vegan, the only vegan champion in the history of the sport of boxing. He continues to stay fit throughout his throughout his 50s, and so do I. So that was a natural fit. What folks don't realize is I have a very strenuous, demanding day job, as well as the production, as well as the foundation, and I also trained for a fight as if I were fighting, Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather himself. It was a challenge.
Yes.
But what it does, Lou and Kiki, is it allows you to be the best version of yourself.
I like that.
It allows you to challenge you versus you. It allows you to push yourself to your limits. And in it, you have some victories that on a personal note, maybe you do shed an addiction. Maybe you do forge a relationship. Maybe you do rededicate yourself to yourself. So for me, it was a win-win-win all around. But it was very important because both my parents, my children, my grandchildren, this could be my last dance, man. Tomorrow's not promised. So my mother and father got to see me perform on stage one last time.
Wow.
I dabbled in boxing, man. We can talk about that in a moment. But all the way from the late 80s out Palmer Park with Sugar Ray, all the way up to
I heard the stories, man.
41. Hey, my mother and father been married 50 some odd years, man. And the man's never seen me box a day in his life.
Okay.
And he had the opportunity to get in that ring one time, not one more time, but one time in front of both my mother and father, both my children, wife, and my granddaughter. So to some extent, it allowed me to leave a footprint in the form of a legacy.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That was important to me.
Wow. Yeah, because I saw the picture, I think, that you posted in the ring with your kids. I think it was kids and grandkids.
Yeah. That was very important to me.
Yeah.
Because they may forget the event. They may forget that night, but they'll never forget how I made them feel.
Yeah. That was epic, man. I take my hat off to you, Joe, because I know what it's like to just think you was training for a fight. And I watched you interview on Spotlight Over the City with you and Keith Holmes, and I watched the exchange of words. And it seems to me that you guys were on the same page to say, look, you better bring your A game. So with that being said, man, that was big. And to get in the ring with former two-time champ Keith Holmes, man. What was that like when you came out? Because you came out to my mystical joint, man. They had the bells on. I ain't gonna lie, Joe. It had me hyped because I was like, damn, you picked the right song. You came out and you had that glare in your eyes, like, man, it's time to do battle. So walk the people through that. This is that back down memory lane, man.
Hey, listen, moment of honesty. There were several trying events that led up to the production itself. There were several faux pas during the production setup. The morning started at 6 a.m.
Wow.
And by the time I entered that ring, I probably was on 10% as far as energy. Yeah, about 10%. There were a lot of things that I prepared for. He's a southpaw, a dangerous southpaw, big left hand, big body shots, right? I probably spent all my money in the first round in the first minute. So Keith being the champion he is,
man,
he caught me with a really, really nice body shot in the second round. I let it out too. Oh, whoa! Wifey yelling, stop it. He took 2 steps back. He really could have closed out. He could have advanced, but that was part of the good spirit in terms of selecting that level of professional. But I gave it all I had. It wasn't the performance I wanted to exhibit, but at the end of the day, it was a charity fundraising event.
Exactly.
And there probably wasn't a place for true action, true 100% full throttle, outright boxing. So I'm honored. I'm respectful.
Yeah.
And at the same token, I'm glad it took on the tenor that it did, because it kind of would have, if we would have turned it up, I probably would have ended up taking a little more punishment than I intended on taking that night.
Because y'all did 3 rounds, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when I talked to Joe Kiki the other day, and he told me, he said, man, the champ could have turned up on me, but he kind of let me off the hook.
He kind of let me off the hook a couple of times. But I will, to my credit, he said, look, man, you came out hot. In his corner was Claude Boger and Melvin Foster.
Okay,
Big
Melvin Foster.
Look, man, he said, look, you came out like you wanted to do something. I said, look, man, I'm gonna spend I got 50 cents more than I plan on keeping. I'm about to spend all my money right out the gate.
Oh God.
Right out the gate. So that's kind of how that fight went.
Man, Mystical would do that to you, man.
All day long. Now, the unique part about it, Lou and Kiki, was, it was table setting, ballroom seating. We opened up boxes and mezzanines and that nature. When during the ring walk, no one sat down. Everyone surrounded the ring as if it were concert style.
Oh, wow.
And that felt a little energetic. That's where I actually dug in and got some energy, because I'm like, look, folks got elbows on the apron. Everyone's surrounding the ring like we had a go-go or something. So I had to find something, because they were front and center, cameras was out. And the last thing I don't want to be is clowned out there on this social media. So we put on a show. The best show we could muster on that night.
Oh, man.
What we had.
So you had a lot of stuff.
Before that, when was the last time you had gotten in the ring? Before that
10
night?
years ago. 2012 and 2013 was back-to-back light heavyweight defenses on that title. So Keith hasn't been in the ring in over 10 years. We're both over 50. I haven't been in the ring over 10 years. He suffered, well, right up until the fight, he suffered a mild calf injury. I had a torn Achilles in October.
Wow.
I actually got stem cell injections to promote cell growth.
Yeah.
Then I was in an accident in December. And then I pulled a calf 3 weeks before the fight.
Wow.
But that goes to show you have to roll with the punches and
with
take
the punches.
Yes.
Be relentless. And bottom line, when you commit and say you're going to do something, your reputation ultimately is something you have to preserve. And you have to be a person of your word, man or woman of your honor. So if you commit, you have to follow through. So that's what we did.
How did it feel to be back in there again? Do you think is it something you'll do again, you think, or just that?
I am so my wife, right? My family, they think I'm on some bucket list shit. They think I'm a little selfish, right? But at this point, I'm here. So I would love to find a little Masters tournament over the summer. My training, I actually train with, shout out to my man Isaiah Carr. He is the National Golden Glove champion, U.S. Olympian qualifier. He's boxing to fight for the Olympics. So I train with the 20-somethings, and I had a gym of maybe 40 folks. There were only 2 southpaws. So I kind of got in there with a few future killers. And I'm like, look, if Keith can't do nothing to me, what these young boys done tried to put on me.
I like that.
That's
I
right.
like that,
That's
man.
right.
That's right. Y'all out here, man. Joe said he was playing with the spring chickens out there, man.
All day long.
All day long.
All day long. All day long.
I love it, man. Y'all just getting in here, man. Y'all better hit that like button, man. We in here discussing mental health awareness, y'all. And I can't tell you how important it is to everybody. Everybody's out there, man. Hit that like button. Show support to the cause. This guy, Joe, here, he is here to tell you guys it's okay not to be okay. If you need somebody to talk to, this is Kiki gonna be posting numbers at the end of the show. Call somebody, talk to somebody. It's a message, man, that I think it should go a long way, a real long way. So, Joe, my next question to you, Joe, is okay. You know, the event happened. It all turned out well. And I'm pretty sure, like you told us before, you know, after the show, you kind of found out what you need to improve on. So when should we expect the next event?
So we are definitely going to get engaged in our second event. So I think our staple is definitely Black Tie Sneaker Gala, edutainment in the Washington metropolitan area. So that's a given. I've been invited to several symposiums, fireside chat in the form of panels, attendees at conferences. And again, disclaimer, not a practitioner, not licensed, not degreed, but because I have a passion and devotion, I am now in this advocacy space. And I'm going to continue to draw not only awareness, provide resources and outlets, be a voice, and be an example. So I haven't clinically been diagnosed with anything. What we tried to highlight in terms of verticals during our event were anxiety, depression, trauma, suicide, bipolar, and addiction, right? I feel those are the things that plague us the most as Blacks in our communities. And then frankly, again, I firmly believe that we have to address it at the adolescence and youth level. Because there are things, and if you grew up like I grew up, you grew up in the DMV, so you are not agnostic and or desensitized by violence, addiction, substance abuse, the lunch out, the overdose, the Kirk out, et cetera, and so forth, right? And what I believe is happening with our young folks, it's, you know, mental health, one's an illness, one's a disorder. So there's some behavioral things, right? But it is frankly taking the lives of our young folks, not in the sense of death, but it's taking them while they're alive, which means they have no expectation of joy, livelihood, peacefulness, and growth. The one thing that did save me along the way, right? I grew up just like everybody else grew up. I'm no different, I'm not special. But as opposed to being a product of my environment, I was a product of my expectation. I wanted more. I knew it was more. I knew it was better. That is dead inside of our children. So by the time they're 18 and 21, they're dead, but we're just burying them at 40 and 50 and 60.
Wow.
Children don't have an abundance of expectation in their lives. Mass shootings are rampant. This fentanyl shit, this drug use.
Yes, that's real heavy.
Social media is doing something to our children, both boys, girls, men, adults, right? Our esteem is based around social media. These young girls, they don't want to be loved no more. They like likes. They measure their value in likes, right? 10,000 likes is more important than a boy, girl, man, woman that you're in love with and want to build a wife. So I'm dedicated to the cause, right? So between now and the next event, we're going to focus on continuing to build out our platform. We're going to strengthen our board of directors in terms of our mission. We're going to identify resources. I'm going to attend various conferences. I'm going to form the networks and what I call allianceships, right? I need to broaden the network to let folks say, or be aware, hey, we're on the map. We're in the space. We're in the game. Now let's have some strategic alliances. Let's work well and work together, and let's build from here. So that's the game plan.
Man, I love that. That's a big game plan right there.
That's the game plan.
And the event you had will become an annual event, correct?
God willing.
Okay.
God willing. We got the blueprint, right?
Yes.
And the objective is to condense it, take the successful elements from it, and then I would love to connect it across the Eastern Seaboard. So from DC to Charlotte to Atlanta to Miami, I believe I could connect the Eastern Seaboard heading south, and within a 2 to 4, 3 to 5 year window, have an event more pragmatic that I can lift out and take the show on the road anywhere nationally. That makes sense, particularly if we get the right partner to help us elevate it.
Yeah, that's right. I love that, man. I think with the message, man, you can spread it all over the world. It don't get no better than that. So
look, we're gonna make sure we at the next one.
Yeah, yes.
I was looking at the videos and everything. I said, Lou, we missed out on this. We should have been there.
Hey, look, hey Joe, she gonna tap me. She gonna try to make me feel bad. She gonna tap me to myself. Man, we should have been there. We should have been there. I'm like, okay, you just gonna call me on Front Street like that? But no, we definitely gonna be there, man. Because if not just the event, it's just the cause of what it's about. Mental health, man. It's no health without mental health. And I think and that's a big thing. So my question to you is, okay, what was the most important message you wanted people to take away from It's Okay Not to Be Okay event?
Sure. So it's a couple of things. A lot of times, we focus right into the subject matter as the victim, right? That person, he or she is this, he or she is crazy, he or she got a problem, he or she is this. What we really wanted to make folks aware of, it's not the individual in the world that they're living in, because oftentimes we try to bring them into our reality. What we need to understand with It's Okay Not to Be Okay is how do folks soften the triggers around the trauma or the issue that folks are reliving over and over and over. So instead of them coming into quote unquote our world and space, we have to learn, again, with removing the stigma and the shame and the guilt, of how to allow them the space so that if they are going through an episode, right? If they are going through something that triggers an emotion, if they are repeating a disorder, take for example, an educator, school teacher, average child, middle school, they get to go to 7 or 8 periods, 7 or 8 teachers. Certain students have to sit in class with one individual all day, every day. Well, school system may chalk it up to a behavioral disorder. What they don't realize is little Johnny or little Susie spent the weekend in the counter because their mother stuck their ass under the sink, or their father is abusive inside the household, or there's abandonment where parents are disappearing for 2 or 3 days. It could be a learning disorder, it could be a behavior disorder, it could be a chemical imbalance. We wanted folks to know the difference between psychology and psychiatry. 8 months ago, I didn't know the difference, right? One can prescribe medicine because there's a chemical imbalance inside of you. One can offer therapeutic and alternatives in the form of a discussion and or some remedies because you don't need to be treated with a substance or a drug. So oftentimes we like to medicate. Oftentimes we say, hey, you need to go talk to somebody. Well, talking may not solve it. The could be a change in lifestyle. So some of those messages we wanted to drive home with the "it's okay not to be okay" for folks to understand and realize sometimes it's not about the person, it's about the people around them. And whether that's in your community, your neighborhood, your household, your job, your school, etc., we all have to stop and pause and realize that mental health involves all of us, not just some of us.
So true. So true.
Yeah. So that's an example. Another one that I can give you guys, check this out, right? Weather's flipping. It's getting a little warm outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now is not a good time to point out to someone various things. That could be their weight, stretch marks, acne, a scar, cellulite, body hair, their tattoos, their loose skin, anything that reminds someone of something like that. You just don't know the story behind it. That can be a source of pain, a source of trauma. That's a wound that they got to relive and think about over and over again. Cosmetically, they wish that their bodies were different. Folks are doing various things to enhance and or demote body parts and things of that nature. So that's just a small example. As the weather's breaking, right? Folks are going to change their attire, but now is not the time to start commenting on. I just gave a couple of examples because it's okay not to be okay. So if a young woman wants to wear a revealing something with her stomach out or the shorts are a little too tight, we always criticize. But we just don't know. That could stem from some event in childhood. That can be an esteem issue. That can be a mode of confidence. That can be something that allows them to get through today. So at the end of the day, man, I'll never stop saying it. It is okay
Not
to be okay. That's right. That's the word of the day, word of the month, man.
Yes, sir.
We got Derek checking in.
What's
my
up,
guy
brother?
Derek Curry, man. What's up,
brother?
champ?
He said, my brother Joe Alley Cat Diggs, Lou and Kiki, y'all got a great man on the show with an important topic of discussion. That's right.
Indeed.
That's right. Don't get no better than that. Special shout out to my man Derek Curry in the building.
Indeed. Hey, man, that's been a comrade, an advocate, a supporter, and a brother day one, man. DC, nothing but love for you, man. Respect and salute to the brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, I wanted to go back to the event. So I know earlier you had mentioned you had like a boxing portion where you did awards. So I was going to ask you, I know you did some of the boxers. So who are some of the people that were honored or received awards at the event?
Sure. So what we really wanted to do is do what I call a double dipper, right?
Okay.
We invited, he accepted. Unfortunately, due to inclement weather, he was not able to participate.
Okay.
But we wanted to acknowledge Leonard Ellaby,
Yes.
Northeast Washingtonian Leonard Ellaby, for his accomplishment not only in the sport of boxing relative to its corporate nature, its business nature, but all of the things he's done with the sport of boxing and youth athletics and how he shaped, molded, and helped young men become adults and professionals.
Yes.
And in that spirit, we selected Leonard Ellaby to present what we call the Unsung Six Awards. The Unsung Six was to acknowledge never in the history in the sport of boxing, any city, USA, we had 6 champions, 5 males, 1 female, that held all the belts across multiple divisions between the period of 96 and early 2000s in Washington, D.C. Those names sound like William Joppy, DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley, Pete Holmes, Mark Two Sharp Johnson, Sean Bay Mitchell, and our female is Isra Gingra. Her last name is, that's her maiden. She's Isra Wynn. And all 6 of those individuals are unsung. The sports world does not talk about them. The boxing journal, written literature and or sports analytics, they're unheralded. No one really presents them, gives them that glory. We thought because each one of them, whether it was the road and trauma to the sport, whether it was the pain and the agony while in the sport, or whether it was the anxiety, depression, and some challenges outside of the sport, we wanted to give all of them their roses on one night while they're still here, shine the spotlight on them, and then have a pillar in the sports industry, Mr. Leonard Ellaby, present them with their awards. Derek Curry stepped in on behalf of Leonard.
Yes, he did.
And we made sure they were honored properly. We made sure they were given their just due. We do not have a claim on the title Unsung Six, but we created that category.
I like the way you cleared that up.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love
it,
that idea
man.
and everything.
Yeah, so that's the spirit of the idea. That's where we wanted to go with it. And we just simply, it was in the spirit of roll with the punches, keeping that boxing metaphor, acknowledging that these fighters have had life before, during, and after boxing, because no one really knows in the life of a professional athlete, once the limelight goes off, once your earnings potential is no longer what it was, once you fade into the sunset and people stop talking about your name and what you've done, that can trigger and push you into a state of something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to know that on that night, May 13th, at the Anthem, it's okay not to be okay. We love you. We respect you. We honor you. Here are your roses, man. That's what we did.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We have a question for you in the chat.
Hello.
It's from Sherelle DeWitt. She said, at first she wanted to say that she salutes you and your organization. She said she's huge on mental health and understands it oh so well. She said, can you shed some light on how she can start her own organization for mental health? She said for mentally abused women. She's currently a case manager and community support worker in DC, but wants her own.
Okay. So the first place I would start, particularly, is organization formation, right? So you can either get really smart about it, or you can engage an attorney that may or may not have pro bono services, but there's a minimal cost to form your articles of organization. And there's also some legwork that you can go about getting your 501c3 tax exemption from the IRS. That's the first step in terms of forming the entity. So it will allow you, whether it's public or private, to solicit and or raise funds to support your business operation. So step one is form the entity, right? It can be a for-profit, it can be a non-for-profit. We chose non-for-profit for the things that we want to do in the space. The second piece is to identify and or align your leadership team, right? It takes a strong governance, whether that's a board of directors or executives or folks that are familiar with the space. And then third, last but not least, is to begin to decide, what are you going to do? Is it programmatic? Is it fundraising? Is it services? Or is it partnerships? You can seek grants from other 501c3 or those type of organizations. You can apply for and or write them yourselves. But I think the first three steps are entity formation, your leadership, network, and or staffing, and then deciding on the direction in terms of what the purpose of the organization is and how you're going to go about doing your day-to-day activity.
That's good.
Right,
That's good.
that's
Okay,
right.
make sure you wrote that down, Sherelle.
Special shout out to my girl Sherelle. That's right. Dropping them gems. You're not gonna get it like this on the other channel. I'm trying to tell you. My man dropping them gems. He's a, hey, look, drop it. I love it.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Oh man, I love it, man. I love having guys like you to come in and drop that knowledge, man. It's a beautiful thing. Now I'm gonna change up a little bit. I want to get to the mental health. You spoke earlier about mass shootings, suicides. It's no secret. All of this is on the rise.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that I think that it's all from mental health. So when you see a mass shooting like that, what goes on through your mind when you see a suicidal or a mass shooting?
I think the immediate reaction is my personal surprise of desensitization. It's almost, here we go again. Unfortunately, I've begun to callous in terms of feeling the pain of a parent that's lost someone and so forth. And I can tell you that there's a huge difference in pre-COVID and post-COVID, right?
Okay.
I think post-COVID, post-pandemic, we are still somewhat anecdotally measuring the effects and the impact. All I can tell you is there's a major difference from 2012 to 2019 versus 2020 to 2023 in the number of episodes, the frequency of the episodes, and then more or less the copycat sort of charge. So we've seen white males, we've seen older folk, we've seen younger folk, we've seen retail in terms of like Walmarts and grocery stores, we've seen public spaces like Las Vegas, we've seen college campuses, we've seen schools.
Yes.
So we can't box it into a specific geography and/or venue and/or facility. What we do know is it's rampant. We do know it's increasing. We do know, as opposed to once or twice a year, it's once or twice a month.
Yes.
We do know it's national news. We do know there's a difference between a black assailant versus a white assailant. We do know that access to weapons and the type of weapons being used is somewhat out of hand, right? So no need to bring politics into it. We know high-powered assault weapons versus handguns and what they can do and the number of lives it can take. But unfortunately, I don't know the answer. I don't know how to curtail it. I don't know where we start. I don't know where we begin. Because I believe we're still in the data gathering fact on a post-COVID basis. And, you know, COVID is not only attributable to increased violence, you got people suffering from various other things like hoarding, sleep disorders, eating disorders, loneliness, promiscuity, right? When you're on lockdown, you may have one female come over. They let cats out the house. Cats on a fest right now, right? Everything. Women too, right? So it's a little bit of everything. It's some esteem. It's some COVID weight that maybe folks are put on or not taking off. There's financial impact. There's hardships. There's relationships. There's death. It's a whole bunch mixed up in the gumbo that I say post-COVID, mental health, the illness itself, and the disorder itself it's a nationwide epidemic. Frankly, the next epidemic, hopefully not pandemic, because I don't see no end in sight. And like I said previously, man, it's colorblind, gender blind, doesn't have a sexual preference. Man, it's a little bit of everywhere. And if it's not you, I guarantee you can count 2 doors down and it is on your street.
Yes. Facts.
Guarantee.
Facts.
Guarantee. So
we might have touched base on this, but I can't remember. But you might have mentioned this. Why is mental health awareness so important to you, and what made you want to get into mental health awareness?
Oh yeah, sure. So what I didn't realize, right? I said it sort of in my founder's opening. I frankly have experienced 4 sides.
Okay.
70s were genocide, 80s a lot of homicide, military a lot of fratricide, and unfortunately I've seen and witnessed suicide. Throughout my family, whether I knew it or not, we just didn't call it certain things. Your mother didn't have anxiety or depression or stressed out, right? We saw it as a way of life. Violence was a normal course of social activity, whether it was go-go's, school, after football games, basketball games. So violence was always prevalent. We just didn't view it as a social disorder. Substance abuse, addiction, right? When we hear the word addiction, we automatically think drugs. But you got folks addicted to alcohol, gambling, hoeing.
Yeah. That's true. That's
It's
true.
true, Joe. You ain't never lied, man.
Scratch offs, food. Everybody has an addiction. And if you live on this earth long enough, decade after decade, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get a PhD in something. Your ass is going to have a doctorate degree, whether it's in trauma, struggle, success, etc. So I didn't wake up thinking I was in a mental health space and or capacity. I just realized my life has always been filled with trauma. The trick is turning trauma into triumph. Shout out to Terry Long if she's watching.
I like that.
The trick is to not allow those things in your life to define who you are.
That's right.
The trick is to be a product of your expectation and realize that you are greater than your circumstances today. You can be grounded in family, you can be grounded in religion, you can be grounded in an organization. But frankly, if you were born in the 70s and grew up in the DC metropolitan area in the 80s, how can you not escape trauma, tragedy, struggle, stories, addiction, the proliferation of HIV, the the crack epidemic,
Mhm.
socioeconomic oppression, the lack of opportunities.
Mhm.
Today we call them hoods. Back then they were ghettos, right?
Ghettos, yep.
I,
Facts.
I
Facts.
remember the homelessness and the people out in front of the White House. I remember Chinatown boarded up. I
Mhm.
remember downtown. If you walk through Martin Luther King Library to get the Woodies or Hex,
Yeah.
you were not traumatized,
You wasn't.
but you realize that homelessness and panhandlers and guys that will come up to you and walk up on you, you didn't meet that with frightened posture. You met aggression with aggression,
Yes.
right?
Right.
We were children.
Mhm.
Talking about children.
Yeah.
So that's where I knew I identified with mental health early on. We just didn't call it that.
That's right.
We
That's
knew disorders and illnesses. We said somebody was slow or special
Mhm.
or touched.
Yep.
We knew
Yes,
what
touch.
sports school
Yep.
bus was, right? We knew what a child who spent his or her time in a special class was. But we had thick skin. We had perseverance. We thought it was normal.
Yep.
It's
Mhm.
only to your adult life when you're exposed to something greater than the norm and you begin to get outside of those communities and develop different networks, you realize how special and different we were.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, we was, man. I tell you, like I can't, like I spoke to you earlier, Joe. I can't tell you how many times I was in middle school and high school, and mentally I had a block, and I was so worried about the peer pressure. How would
Right.
they feel if I'm talking to a therapist? Will I be labeled crazy, or will I be
Right.
labeled like special, like you said? So for me, if I had to go back, Joe, I definitely would go back and talk to people because it would have helped me navigate through whatever it is I was going through,
Right.
whether it was something at home, something at school, anything. It could have been dealt with in a way where I went out and talked to somebody. So my question to you is, how do we get rid of this stigma of just not wanting to come forward?
Sure. So I think it's systemically a couple of things has to happen. Institutionally, the first thing I would address is not only training and advocacy at the human resources level, but organizations, companies, institutions, federal government, law enforcement, military, those agencies have to adopt a policy that if your employee comes to you and openly wants to share a battle, right? You have to allow that. You can't condemn them. Picture your physician, your gynecologist, your cardiologist. What happens if I'm a 40-year-old physician? I've built a 10-year practice, and then I told my patients, every now and then I suffer through depression. I take X, Y, and Z. I'm an alcoholic, and from time to time I have suicidal thoughts. They'll be out of business, right? What happens when a government employee with 27 years and they're in their last 3 and they want 30 years so they can retire, that they go to an EAP program, you have a top secret clearance, you raise your hand and say, hey, I suffer from this particular disorder, and it allows you to become unemployed or fired, right? You throw away your pension.
Yeah. I hold that against you.
We talk about police shootings on unarmed suspects and so forth and so on. What we don't talk about at the end of the day, that officer still has a family. That officer still has to relive that
Right.
event. The officer may be out of a career. There's no empathy on the side of both sides of the coin. Parenting, right? We need to reverse engineer because we're the Gen Xers, right? Oftentimes we refer to or try to charge off or write off millennials. That's just a millennial. I don't understand these youngins. These damn kids, they're lost cause. We cannot give up on them,
Yeah,
right?
we can't.
So again, as opposed to, I myself, I'm guilty. Oh man, when I was your age, I would do this. When I was 22, I had my stuff together. When I was 18, I wanted to leave the house. Don't you know the average age for folks to leave the nest is about 32? 28 to 32 for young adults going out on their own. We criticize that. We don't stop and think why. Was it a failure to prepare them? So I think parenting, whether it's a single family household or a dual family household, we need to stop and acknowledge and understand that we need to reverse engineer and get into the lives of our millennials, our young folks, because to simply judge them and criticize them, have preconceived notions of what they ought to be, again, you want them to live in your world, which is yesteryear, and not adopt to the world and the challenges and the things they are living in today. Right, so those are a couple of things I say, at least here's a start conversationally.
Yes.
And we begin to understand why it's okay. not to be okay.
That's right.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to someone who is struggling with mental health issues but don't know where to turn for help?
Whew. Kiki, I'm not qualified for that one. I am not qualified for that one. What I can say,
Okay.
Your opinion. What would be your opinion
what I can say,
from your
all self-care, all self-correction, all self-assessment starts with self. There's absolutely no way to progress unless I'm willing and wanting to make a change. So what we can do, again, on the outside is, again, I haven't been clinically diagnosed with anything.
right.
I battle with, time to time, my own self-infliction of what I call depression.
Okay.
It's holding myself to a very, very high esteem, and I'm a damn busybody. So if I get into a period of where I know I'm not being the best version of myself, that's probably a lower or darker moment. And the first thing I do for myself is make it a very, 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 in some instances, overcompensating effort to go help someone. The best way for me to get out of a funk is to help the next person, right? But I would say for us on the outside looking in, you have to let folks know that we are willing to soften the triggers. We are willing to get an understanding from your perspective, right? I'll give you a personal story. I really don't want to put my daughter on blast, but it came to my attention while she was in school. She attended the HBCU, whether it was before an exam, before something, she was a marker, right? She would write on herself, do something to herself, do this, that, and the other. All I can say as a parent is, baby, why are you doing that? Oh, baby, you need to go talk to somebody. Oh, baby, what's wrong with you? Just that. All three things were absolutely no good, didn't amount to anything.
Right.
What I could have done better is say, sweetie, what leads up to you wanting to do that?
Yeah.
Under what circumstances do you find yourself doing that?
Right.
Hey, listen, it's all right to do it. I'm not even going to criticize you. I don't even think it's some crazy shit, right? But what you can do is soften the triggers, have a better understanding, let folks know it's okay to open up. Because sometimes you just want to vent. Sometimes you just want to know you're not all alone about it. Sometimes you just want somebody to understand where you're coming from. Those would be my responses, because outside of that, I don't have a clinical response.
Right. But those are good. And it's based on what you feel. So
Yeah.
that's good.
That's what it's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all just getting in here, we closing the show. Joe Alley Cat in the building, man. The month of May is mental health awareness. Y'all, I can't tell y'all how important this is to me. When you first locked in with it, Joe, and I started researching you and just started, you're not the guy who just putting it up there. You're standing behind the message. This guy got in the ring. He told y'all he had a pulled Achilles. He had a lot of injuries, but he still stayed in there and he fought the exhibition with two-time former champ Keith Holmes. If that ain't enough to tell y'all he's standing behind this message, so y'all in here, y'all, it's y'all duty to hit that like button, because guess what? If y'all don't, he only 1 week out from training. So I'm gonna send him right over to your place, show up, and let me tell you, Alley Cat with a name like Alley Cat, man, you want to stay far, far away from a guy named Alley Cat. If I was fighting a guy named Alley Cat, I'd be like, you can't find somebody else. We got to get film on this guy. This guy's named Alley Cat.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, but I got one more question, man.
Sure.
I'm gonna name some names, and I'm pretty sure you probably remember these names: Kevin Love, Delonte West, AB,
Yes.
Ryan Garcia. All of these guys confess to mental health.
Yes.
And when I see celebrities do it, even though, like you said earlier, Joe, they're human just like us. But when you get a celebrity like that comes out, I'm just curious what's going on through your mind when you see them guys, because that takes a lot for a celebrity, a millionaire, to come up and confess to that.
It just reinforces that what I would say is something that sounds like, money can buy you a very, very nice bed, but it'll never buy you a good night's sleep.
I like that.
And a professional athlete, whether they're economically sound in their money earnings and everything else, still doesn't solve pressure, doesn't solve living my life under a spotlight and a magnifying glass. It doesn't solve loneliness, doesn't solve for paranoia. Yeah, just imagine you 23 years old with a very sound bank account, have the ability to do and go where you want, never been told no throughout your adolescence, and all of a sudden, one word, one mistake, one incorrect politically statement, shout out Kyrie Irving, changes your life forever.
Yes.
Those are demands that you're not trained for, you're not equipped. And if you haven't had a life of that type of activity, it makes you weak and it makes you vulnerable. So we have to commend folks that, again, raise their hand and say, I'm not okay. And the more and more we realize that it's okay to do that, and more importantly, embrace that individual, then we can begin to be undone, be unsick, be unashamed, be unafraid, and be, frankly, uncastricized. Because you're a celebrity doesn't mean you walk a higher plateau. It just means you're more visible.
Yes.
So that's what I think. Now so I talked a little bit about being desensitized by atrocities, right? Because they happen so frequently. But I do have empathy on some of our younger, high-profile athletes that have to endure what they endured in their space. Whether you're the John Morants or your Danny Garcias,
Yes.
or actors or actresses. A lot of folks, it's the difference between suicidal tendencies and thoughts versus actual suicide. Chelsea Dice, she's a former Miss North Carolina. Twitch, Ellen DeGeneres' person,
Yes.
You have various singers and your Amy Winehouses, my man from Soul Train, Don Cornelius, various people that have committed the act of suicide versus more people that are walk around with suicidal thoughts and or tendencies. How do we engage them early enough? What are the right things to say? What are the right actions? What are the right things to do to, again, soften those triggers and let folks know that it is okay to raise your hand and say, I need help, without the additional pressure of what goes along with when I disclose, I got something wrong, y'all. I got something. So that's just it.
Yeah.
But Kiki, thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. Lightskin Lou, thank you. If you want to follow us, right, our IG handle on Facebook and Instagram, it's okay not to be okay, not is spelled with a K. Our website is rollwiththepunchesfoundation.org. And whether you want to continue to support our events, the foundation itself, or the cause, we accept donations all year. No amount is too small. You can simply text the word punch to 26786, and that will allow you to make a monetary donation to either our events, the cause of mental health awareness itself, or to the foundation. We are a 501c3 tax-exempt organization, so your contributions are eligible for tax exemption status and things that you can do relative to the IRS. So I did want to plug that.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's right. Kiki, you enter your gun.
So it was a question in the chat. I'm not sure if you can answer it, Joe, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Sure.
But Ray John Johnson wanted to know, is paranoia or schizophrenia considered a normal behavior while living in some urban areas?
So let's take the urban area out of the equation, right?
Okay.
Again, without being a subject matter expert, schizophrenia is a clinically diagnosed illness. And in some instances, paranoia can be either an illness and or disorder, whether it's innate and or a condition of an individual, or whether it's brought on by a controlled substance. But over and beyond that, I would disagree that it's prolific to an urban area, right? Again, we talked about no geography, no socioeconomic condition, no skin color, no amount of money can avoid it, this, that, or the third. So I wouldn't tie it to a geography. What I will say that I know, it can be classified either as a true illness or a disorder. And sometimes a controlled substance has a play into the paranoia state of affairs or not. I'm limited to that response, Kiki.
Yeah, that's right. That's
good.
right.
No, that's good.
That's right.
And can I just ask, I have let me see. One more question.
Please.
Yeah, this is my last one. And I know you said you know you're not licensed stuff like that. So this is still in your this is what you would say. And I know you said, you know, when your daughter went through her stuff, what you said you should have said that you didn't say. So
Right.
my question is, what can friends and what do you think friends and loved ones can do to support someone who is struggling with their mental health? What can people do as friends and loved ones together?
Here's what I've done, right? So it runs through my entire
Okay.
family, right?
Okay.
My brother, for example, I love him more than words can say. Frankly, I had to have a conversation once an episode occurs. So every now and then, he may jump off the deep end with an episode. Could be a bipolar type of scenario. You can go from 0 to 60, from a pleasantry to an aggravation point.
Okay.
What I've learned to do over the past 12 months is pause and allow that episode to play out. Because the worst thing that you can do while someone is acting out or going through is criticize or tell them why they're going through. It's the absolute worst time to offer advice and or solution and or resolution.
Okay.
So what I've practiced was the patience to pause and allow that person to experience and validate what they're going through. Because again, in their world, in their mind, in that moment, particularly if you know the characteristic of the individual. So we call that acting outside of yourself, or dude acting outside his head,
Okay.
or he lunching, or he tripping, or whatever word you want to describe it. You got to give that person space to be that person in that moment. And in it, once they come, quote unquote, back down to a platform, we can talk about what just happened. Not right now, could be next week, could be a month from now. And then again, my approach is to understanding the things that lead up to those episodes or understanding those triggers. Parents. If you are constantly, particularly if you got adult children, right? A child that formulates it's his or her personality by the age of 12 or 14, 15. They know who they are, they got their opinions and so forth. By 18, 21, guys, your parenting is over. Now you're becoming a coach. You're going to coach up to 23 or 25. After that, you're a consultant. Right? There's nothing else there's no other tool you can
Thanks for breaking that down, Joe.
Right? If you're parenting for a young adult that's still in their 20s, guess what you are? You're either annoying, you're constantly telling them that they can't do anything right in your eyes, right? Why you do this? Why your budget? Why your car don't have gas? Why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do that way? What do you mean you don't have a savings? What do you mean your credit this? That? You're not parenting anymore. These are young adults. They're gonna have to learn life's lessons on life's terms, right? Mm-hmm. But to the eye of the child, man, I'll never do nothing right in Dad's eyes. Mom won't let me slide with anything. She's always on my ass. She's always criticizing. We always, right? So when it comes to that parenting or the friendship that you described, Kiki, or the relationship, sometimes you have to pause and provide a better understanding of things that lead up to those episodes, triggers, or repetitive behavior. You have to encourage support. You have to bring the right people into the circles because everyone's opinion is not valid, right? And then ultimately, you got to take the ride with them. Mm-hmm. Picture a female that's going through a maternal situation, right? What better things you can do to say, hey, babe, I'm going to your doctor's appointment today. I don't need you to go. Well, I'll just sit in the car. Hey, babe, I'm walking into when a person knows you are right by their side, whether they appreciate it or not today,
Facts.
At some point they're going to know you were the wind beneath my wings. You never let me down and you never let me walk out here alone.
Preach.
Right, that's right, man. Preach, man. Wind beneath my wings. That's right.
Yeah. So that's my response to that one.
Okay.
Perfect.
Joe, I'm gonna tell you, man, I can't tell you how grateful me and Kiki are to have you come and bless us with your presence on our platform. Every time I get a guest on the show, I always give them flowers because you said it earlier. Life ain't promised to you tomorrow. It's not promised. So I'm proud of your vision.
Thank you.
Great event, Black Tie Gala event. It was beautiful. I'm still kicking my 7 foot because I wasn't able to make it. Just the cause that you're standing behind, mental health. That's something that's plaguing that, and I'm glad you clear that up. It's not a race thing; it's
No.
a human thing.
Correct.
And I'm glad you cleared that up because to take on a task like this, man, is big. Boxing, hosting the event, training like a true champion that you are, man. I was following. I was like my man was doing jumping jacks on his hands and just jumping up. I was following you, man. I was really proud of the moment, man. Special shout out to Derek Curry, man. Keith Holmes. I interviewed Keith Holmes like a year ago, so I know all about him. You guys put together an event that's going to catapult something special. I feel like this is going to be an annual event every year. And guess what? Liteskin Lou and Kiki, man, we gonna be right there, man, because it's a great cause. I'm not there for just the scenery. I'm there because of the cause.
Sure.
Mental health is a serious thing, and I'm glad that they dedicate the month of May to shed light on that. Like you said, it's a stigma in the Black community, and it needs to be dealt with. It, like you said, it's not going to get done overnight, but I think having an event like you guys had is a strike in the right direction. So forever that, man, thank you for standing behind a great cause. I got a feeling that this ain't going to be the last time we get Joe Diggs on the show. I think this is going to be episode 10 in a couple years because every time you host an event, I want to get you on the show. We want to get you on the show so people can understand what goes on behind it and just follow the message. So forever, man, my flowers to you, Joe. Thanks again, man.
I appreciate it. My honor. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. And I will not be a stranger. And I will go on record today, second annual It's Okay Not to Be Okay Black Tie Sneaker Gala. Kiki and Liteskin Lou are credentialed, period.
Oh, thank you. God bless you. Yes.
I'm on record. I'm on record.
But y'all heard that, man. Live with Liteskin Lou and the lovely Liteskin Lou and the lovely Kiki, man. That's we like standing behind great things, man. This great man right here took the time to come and kick it with us. So, Joe, man, let's stay in tune with each other. And when I see you, I need you to show me that in and out you did in round 2 because they be coming for the light skinned brother, Joe. So we gotta look out for each other, man. I need you to show me that slip the slide joint, man, real quick, man.
I got that.
And what was the foundation's website again?
Rollwiththepunchesfoundation.org.
Okay. Because I'm gonna put that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you got anything you want to post, man, Kiki, she's the ace in the hole. She puts everything out on the channel. So if you got anything you want to advertise, put it out there, and we're gonna make sure you take care of. Once again, man, y'all put them cheeseburgers and them beers down. And once again, man, I want everybody here in this chat, y'all give it up for my guy, Joe Alley Cat Diggs, man. That's right. Man, we would definitely be in contact, Joe.
Yeah. Did you have any last words or anything you wanted to say before you check out?
Hey, listen, I love you guys. I thank for what you do. Thanks for the platform. And no matter what you do, make sure you continue to roll with the punches. Stay relentless. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. And listen, we're going to live out loud. You have a platform, which means you have a responsibility. And when much is given, you know the rest of it. Much is required. Keep doing what you do.
Yes.
My man.
I love y'all, man. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Awesome interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that was good.
That's right. I told y'all, put them cheeseburgers in that beer down. Man, ain't no game one night. Y'all give it up again for my guy, Joe Alley Cat Diggs, man. He took the time. He took an hour out of his time. Busy man, and he came in here. He said, "Look, light skinned little Kiki, we coming through, and we're gonna spread the word."
Yeah, I'm gonna put in his information.
That's right. Put that information in there, man. We're gonna make it do what it do, man. And I'm glad that we talking about this because I ain't gonna lie, Kiki, man. I remember back in middle school and high school, I felt some kind of way, and I was too scared to go and talk to people because the stigma of just being peer pressured. Oh, you crazy, or you just that, you this, that, you that. If I had to do all over again, I'm gonna go in and have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So if y'all in here, man, hit that like button. Know that it's a message out there. It's okay not to be okay. So that foundation, man, stand behind the message.
And then I'm gonna put the social media handles.
That's right. That's right. My guy Jamal in the building. Wheels are still in here, Kiki. He's still in here. That's my guy, man. So Kiki, let me ask you this: what stood out to you the most out of this whole interview? I just was curious of your thoughts.
Okay, talk about something else real quick because I'm trying to type this. I'm sorry, I cannot talk and type this at the same time.
All right. Well,
So you talk about your experience while I'm doing this. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
I'll be back with you in a second.
I tell you what. Look, Jamal just said you've been having a lot of light skinned people on the show lately. What's up with that? Hey Jamal, you must have watched last week's show, man. That dude we had on there was chocolate, man. Ain't no discrimination over here, man. We just trying to have great people that's doing great things, sending great messages, man. So we're gonna disregard that message at 9:48 from Jamal Hill.
What'd he say?
Yeah, you heard what he said. He said y'all been having a lot of light skinned people on here, and I'm like, dude, we don't
He said that
discriminate.
on the thing.
Yes, let me put it on the screen.
I didn't see that.
What did I
He
say?
just put that up there.
Yeah, he just put it up there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, while you was doing what you was doing. But no, Kiki, what stood out to me was this how quick Joe was to answer the questions, how enthused
really good.
he
was.
was.
Really good.
It was never like he was answering a question where he felt like it was like not a good question. We asked it, he answered it, and it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm glad that we're able to reach guys like this.
So these are the areas on the social media where you can follow the organization and you can follow him at It's Okay Not to Be Okay and at 9 Round Cat on Instagram and Facebook, Joe Diggs. So these are the places you can follow. Then you could also go to their website to get more information so you don't miss the next event.
Yes.
The next entertainment event.
Yeah, say that word again for them, Kiki, because I don't think they caught it.
Entertainment, y'all. That's my new word. Entertainment.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it because I would have tore that joint up. I ain't even gonna
Boss
lie.
said he was good.
Yeah, he really was, man.
Sherelle said YouTube need a love button.
Yeah, they do, Sherelle. We love you too, Sherelle.
Yeah, he was really good. He was dropping some gems. Yeah, he was really good. I really just think that the show, sometimes when you talk about certain things, people don't listen to your show because you're not talking about certain things, but it's all good because this is something that was important and we do it. We don't care how many people we get watching, how many likes or whatever. We do it because that's what we want to do.
That's right.
And that's what's important. So we don't care about none of that. But this was a very important show and something that we need that, you need to bring awareness to. So I don't think we're worried about none of that. But if you missed the show and you're just hearing it now, make sure you catch that recap because it was a very, very good show with some good information. So make sure you hit the like button. And then if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button because you missed a good one today.
Yeah, you damn sure did. Yeah. And I will say this: Joe just sent the message. He said he truly, truly appreciated it. Great interview, straight from Joe Diggs, man. He just hit us up.
Right. Thank you. And did you hear that? We got it on the air that we are credentialed for the next Black Tie. It's Okay Not to Be Okay. Black Tie and Sneaker Gala.
Yes.
And we didn't ask for that. Nope. And we didn't do this for that. So
we did it because we behind the cause. It's okay not to be okay.
Look at God. Look what he
that's
just
right.
did.
And always, one thing we got to say, one thing that we definitely got to say in life, you will be dealt all types of hands. But guess what? His foundation says, roll with the punches.
Right. Look, I don't even know how to punch, but that's what he did.
Hey, Kiki, you fight. You fight like a little kid. Hey, look, Kiki, you gotta put your guards up like this. You can't.
But that's not what he did. He was like, or something like that.
I seen this man throw his hands, so he could get away with that. But you Hey, Sherelle, she out there drawing like she pedaling on a bike or something.
No, I was like this or something.
Good thing she ain't grew up in the hood, boy. I tell you, man.
When it's time to fight, when you out in the street, ain't nobody putting their hands up like we wasn't doing that shit back in the day. I know I wasn't as no girl. I wasn't doing that.
Yeah, that's right, y'all. If y'all just getting it here, man. We just closed the show, man. Joe Allicat Diggs, he came in and dropped some gems. If you missed it, go back and watch it. Hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, do that as well. Hit that big old white subscribe button and help the channel out. In closing, Kiki, do you have any last words
before we close out? Let them know that so if you are on the podcast or you watch this later, if you or someone you know are experiencing any mental health emergencies or anything, they have hotlines that you could call. So they have a mental awareness hotline in DC available for you, a 24-hour hotline. So that number is 1-888-793-4357. Merlin has one. That's 800-422-0009. And then Virginia, and then also you could do, I think it's 211, then press 1 to get over to the helpline. And then Virginia is 866-903-3787. So
right.
if
Kiki.
anybody is in need of help, you can call any of those numbers.
That's right. Kiki, my humble. You just so humble. You do things so classy. Once again, y'all give it up for the lovely Kiki, man. She did her thing today once again. Put that thing down. But in closing,
give it up to you, Lou.
Thank you. In closing, y'all. What Jamal say? Let me go. Hold up. What did he say?
He keeps swinging her arms like Keith Thurman when he was Betty Puppy out.
That's right, Jamal. Come forward, man. Come forward, Jamal.
Oh, Jamal, you wrong as shit.
Come forward, Wheels of Steel. That's right. But no, really, in closing, y'all, we really appreciate you guys for sticking around. Sherelle, I hope he answered all your questions, and he dropped some gems, and I'm glad that you were able to receive it. Not often, very often, we able to get a guy like that comes in and just firsthand knowledge, because this guy, he's right in the middle of as he spoke. He's not licensed, but he has the knowledge that's going to keep him around to doing what he's doing, make him successful. So with that being said, y'all know the words.
Raw.
Hey, Blaze. Shout out to my cousin, man, Big Blaze. So with that being said, y'all, stay humble, stay hungry, and always live your life to the fullest, because tomorrow ain't promised to you. We thank you guys again, and we will see you guys next Wednesday at 8:30. We up out of here. Peace.
Yeah. Nah, no profit. Yo, where you at? Where you at? My homie Lou on the mic. Them other hosts need to stop. They ain't doing it right. If you ain't turned in the loop, what you doing with your life? Conversation so sharp, it ain't your usual night. We got athletes, entrepreneurs, even celebrities. Politicians discuss nationwide discrepancies. Hardcore tackling issues in our community. Spreading on knowledge, creating an opportunity. Tune in live with light-skinned Lou. Tune in live with light-skinned Lou. Tune in live with light-skinned Lou. Tune in live with light-skinned Lou.
Light-skinned Lou. Light-skinned Lou.